Hello, Digidestin. Welcome to the King's Court. Okay, we have a very special deck profile. Our good friend, we'll call him C, just won locals with Examon, and he was also in, what was it, like 3 recorded games we uploaded last week? Go ahead, take it away, C.
Yeah. One day I'll get an Examon Playmot, but we'll start off with the eggs. We got 4 copies of the BT20 Baby Digimon. When attacking, if they have a Draco or Exa in text, you draw 1. It's really important because this deck needs to see certain pieces because you run a little bit weird ratios. So you want to just have max consistency. You don't have a 5th egg for the time being. So it's just 4 copies of the 20 Baby Digimon.
Did you ever throw in like a 5th egg just to be safe?
I tried the old EX3 one, but I realized I need to draw better in testing.
Gotcha.
And then for the starting off with the rookies, we got 3 copies of Dracomon, the Searcher from EX3. Yep, a boy. Looks at the top 4, adds a Examon and a Dramon in text, so it can add pretty much your whole thing except Dracomon itself, which happens a lot more often than you think, where you just get a bunch of Dracos and it's kind of an issue.
I can imagine. I've had the same problem with Lago.
All turns, if you suspend, you get plus 1,000 for the for that turn. Not as useful compared to the old days, but still pretty useful. And then we got I run 4 copies of BT20 Draco, the red one. There is some debate on whether it's this one or the promo. I've tested both. I just think I like the red one better because I like the start of main, because it can trash anything with Dracomon or Examon in text to draw 1 in game 1, so it gives you an extra memory and an extra draw. So if you draw too many Dracos, you can potentially cycle through a little bit better. It is red, so it does conflict with certain options, but there are other options that are pure red that don't ignore color that you need them for, so I just want the consistency for it. And then Inheritables plus 2k. And then obviously the main MVP rookie of the deck, 4 copies of BT21 Dracomon X. It's a 1 Evo, but it really doesn't matter because in start of main you Evo into your 4 for free and you have end of turn Jogress, which is what the deck really needed to be faster.
Makes sense.
Yep, so it's so a good card. I hope it gets an ult at some point. That runs out all the 3s, now onto the 4s. You run only 8 4s. You run 4 copies of the green Cordramon and 4 copies of the blue Cordramon from BT20. They're both the same inheritable, which is plus 2k. This one has raid, this one has jamming for early swings, this for killing bodies. But the important part is that if you play out the other colors, so in blue Cordramon, if you play Groundra, he can evo into Wingdramon for 1, and then this is the same. He can evo into Groundramon for 1 if you play out Wingdra. So they are very both important for you to start your play main combo going into Examon. There's really not much space for any more 4s because you need the consistency that these provide. That's it for the 4s. For the 5s, I do run 1 copy of the EX3 Groundra, 4 copies of the BT20 Groundra. The EX3 is just for the name that you want because he treats himself as a level 6 during your turn, and he does have end of turn Jogress in case you don't see your Draco X's, but the important one is the BT20 Groundramon because he can stun something for either a Digimon or a Tamer and then stun it for the next turn, which helps with bigger bodies, especially some that are immune if you get too high of DP. Then all turns he treats himself as Breakdramon for DNA Digivolving, which can help threaten Ace. And then all turns trashing security is really good because you're beating things over with battle. And then obviously his opposite, we got 1 copy of the EX3 Wingdramon, followed by 4 copies of the BT20 Wingdramon, which is one of my favorite cards, just generically. Again, for the end of turn Jogress if you don't have the Draco X. But this one's important because he pops a 6k, so he can pop a Floodgate, and then he treats himself as Slayer Dramon for Blast Ace and gives you a Security Plus, which is really important. This build does run the level 6s. There are some builds that don't run it, there's some builds that do. I like the level 6s for toolbox purposes, but that rounds out the 5s. You will usually be going them into Exa, but just in case, I run, this used to be a 2nd copy, but I've switched to 1 copy of BT20 Slayer and 1 copy of EX3 Slayer. Slayer Dramon's just a taunt. You don't have the block, so it's a little bit more of a luck factor that you have the Ace or they just die in security. But BT20 is good because sometimes you want to source strip things and then pop something. So it can sometimes get rid of Fragment, but you are still triggering their when trash by effects. But it's still good, and it also has Piercing. Both of these do restand, 1 if it suspends, 1 if it clears security. So if you're not seeing Examon for whatever reason, you could just Evo on Grounder to do a good 2 checks. And then we also have 2 copies of BT20 Breakdra. Breakdra is good. He suspends other things and then allows a body to blitz. And if he deletes anything in battle, he can delete a suspended Digimon or Tamer. Same inheritable with the all turns. He's got blocker in case you need a block. But like I said, you usually evoing these as a backup, not your main plan. Because your main plan is to go into Examon. Speaking of Big Boy himself, but first I only run 2 copies of the Ace. Keyword Soup, and it's to threaten Ace potential with the level 5s or 6s to bot deck. You do need the 6 in hand, that's why I run the 6s, so that I can actually blast Ace, because sometimes people don't see it. And it's really good to just have as many Examons as you need, because when I used to play it, at 4 I had trouble seeing it, so seeing it better with 2 copies extra really helps. And then obviously the main Exa you want to play is 4 copies of the BT23 one. This card is just genetically insane. I'm surprised they didn't give us the Jogger's off a red level 6, but I have a feeling I would find a way to use it because I love red. But it's got Piercing, Security Attack +1, and Partition. Partition just elevated this deck so much because when you used to get your Examon outed, you did not have a way to recover, but Partition helps it. Surprisingly, they locked it to the 5s, that's why you focus on your 5s. Otherwise, if it was 6, you'd probably run more 6s. On play, when Digivolving, he stuns up to 5 things on the board, then they can't unsuspend during unsuspend phase, which is important. Then he can swing, which is good because Jawgress gets rid of your summoning sickness, which means he can just blitz after turn. You're usually passing turn, so that's negligible. But when you check security, you can your turn when you can trash an opponent's option card in the battle area, so trainings, memory boost, scrambles, and then delete a suspended tamer, which is good for control.
Absolutely, especially with freaking Digimon everywhere right now.
Yeah, and then that's it for the assignments. I don't run Examon X. There's an argument to be made that you could because he does enable OTK faster, but I just don't like it because he's not a Jawgress target. And if your Exa gets outed, you'll partition back to the 5, and you might not have another Exa. So I just tend to not run it because I don't like the inconsistency in terms of evolving on it.
It's like too risky.
For me, it was.
And you just don't like it.
That's personal reasons, but we're deck building here. So for Tamers, just 3 copies of Davis. He is the best searcher next to Memory Boost because he just adds any green and any red, and that's any green and red, any green and any blue, and that's most of your deck aside from the red Dracos in this build. If you switch it out to the promo Draco or the BT11 Draco, he will search all your Dracos. So he's just generically the best searcher tamer until they get probably their own specified tamer. And then we run 4 copies of Jade. Usually you should run 4 copies of Wisteria if you're running the red Draco, but I just went back to Jade because I don't have 4 copies available. But they're still pretty good. Blue and green meets the color requirement, and you just add a blue or green, so it's like half a Davis. But you still prefer to see Davis. It's just the memory gain 2 does help when you want to keep turn, because sometimes when you can keep turn, you can actually OTK. And then we have 2 copies of Unleash the Dragon Gene. I took it down from 3 just because of today's format, but otherwise I would probably run it at 3. Cannot ignore the color requirement, so you need the red Draco or the red 4s. And that can bottleneck you if you see it too early. But other than that, you play any card with a reduced cost of 3. And then the important part is the all turns, because if your Digimon would leave the battle area, you can Jawgress to stop it from leaving. So that's why you want your 5s out. With the new Exa, you can partition. If this is on the field, you can partition, and at the cost of not using the wrong plays, you can activate this immediately to go into a second Exa as a form of interruption. That's why it's gotten really good with the new Exa. The new Exa really fixed a lot of the old cards. And then the reason I don't run a 3rd copy is because I run 1 copy of Crimson.
Yeah.
Because you just need to stop things. And that's also why I run the 4 copies of Red Draco, because green Dracos do not meet it, and if you're not seeing the 4, you're not. It's just gonna be dead range.
You need that to deal with Goody right now
for a lot of things that play out. But yeah, other than that, that's the entire deck list.
Are there any changes you would make to the deck going forward?
Like I said, I'd probably, if there was a way to get out of the Crimson, I'd probably just make it a 3rd gene. I might switch the Slayer back to either BT20 or go full on the EX3s, because sometimes stun locking the decks that move out is good. It's just the issue of not having blocker.
What do you
So
think
you're relying on Ace. I might also try testing a 3rd X Ace just so have it. But at the moment, I'm pretty happy with the deck is at the moment.
What do you think of the strengths and weaknesses of the deck?
I think it's pretty good into certain things. It's just certain things play out too fast.
I know that feeling.
But I mean, if you play it right, you can get over a few of the crazier decks right now.
Any last minute words you want to give to anyone who wants to play the deck?
It's a lot more affordable than it used to be because you don't have to rely on a secret anymore.
True. All right, everyone.
What was it, like 40 per Exa?
It was 40 per Exa.
Oh, yeah, it was 40, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the freaking...
I missed that alt art, but it
alt was
doesn't...
like, what, 80 at one point?
I think it was 60.
Oh, okay.
I do miss that alt art and that general playstyle, but it's not
That'd be a
good at
sweet
the
map.
moment. unless they bring it back.
That'd be a sweet mat.
It would be a sweet mat.
All right. So if you want to see any more Examon gameplay as well as Dover from our good friend C, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you think of the deck. Have a great week, everyone. Take care. Bye.